Hey guys, it's William Morrison, your British Marxist-Leninist and anti-imperialist comrade. And this is going to be a quick video. I just want to really kind of ask my American comrades to stop asking me about my opinion on patriotic socialism and this whole MagaCommunism thing, which has been birthed in the last couple weeks or months. And I'm going to explain why I want you guys to stop asking me about it. The reason I'm not going to give my opinion on MagaCommunism is because, quite simply, I don't know enough about American political material conditions to really give my opinion on it. I don't feel like you guys would appreciate it if I even tried to give my opinion on MagaCommunism. And I guess it's similar to if an American who didn't really know a lot about if an American who didn't really know a lot about British politics tried to give me their opinion on Scottish independence or the Brexit referendum, whether or not Britain should remain part of the European Union. I would appreciate it if an American who didn't know a lot about that stuff tried to give me their opinion on it. So I'm not dismissing all Americans. I'm not saying that I wouldn't accept anyone's opinions. I'm not dismissing people based on their nationality. I'm dismissing people's opinions based on their knowledge. Knowledge is important. Like Mao said, no investigation, no right to speak. So I feel like I'd be betraying my Marxist-Leninist principles if I was to give my ill-informed opinions on MAGA-communism without doing a little bit of research first. And I've done very limited research on it, simply because it isn't my fight. Yes, sure, as a Marxist-Leninist, I'm also an internationalist, and I have to show support and solidarity to my international comrades. But really, it is up to the people of the specific nation we're referring to here to fight themselves. It's up to them. It's people's self-determination. So yeah, I just find it very strange how a lot of Americans are asking me about my opinion on MAGA-communism. I don't feel like I'm qualified to give that. From what I understand about what MAGA-communism is, essentially, it's a trend that has started, well, not a trend, it's a movement that has started maybe a couple of weeks or a couple of months ago, and pretty much quite a significant number of American communists decided that the best way to accomplish socialism or 21st century Marxism-Leninism was to unite with Trump supporters and American conservatives. And I guess if that is the correct definition, of what MAGA-communism actually is, if it is a proposed path that American communists can take to make 21st century Marxism-Leninism, according to American material conditions, plausible or feasible, if they think that they can do that by uniting with the MAGA crowd and with Trump supporters, then I think it's worth a try. What I do have a problem with is national chauvinism, which has been a problem I have seen amongst some of the MAGA crowd, the MAGA communist crowd. There is some American national chauvinism, and it isn't really appreciated. I mean, I'm a British comrade. I'm very, very close with a lot of American comrades. Definitely don't want to fall out with anyone over this video. But yeah, there's been a lot of MAGA communists that have disrespected me, slandered and pretty much shat on my entire political life here in Britain, simply for the fact that I'm British. And this kind of national identity politics is not helpful. Sure, Britain has done awful things, and I'm not a supporter of British colonial history. I'm not a supporter or upholder of the Conservative Party or the Royal Family or the House of Lords. I'm not a supporter of any of the feudalistic tendencies that still exist within British political life. I'm not a supporter of any of that. I classify myself as British as a political statement, as to I think that we're better off together as a British people. And I've explained that in a prior video. I think it was my second or third ever video on this channel, where I explained 3 pretty important reasons why I am against Scottish independence. So I identify as British merely as a political statement. Nationally or ethnically, I still am Scottish. I can't deny that. That's a part of my anthropological history. I am a Scotsman, nationally. But politically, yeah, I am British because I don't want Scotland to be a separate country. And like I said, I don't want ill-informed opinions from Americans who don't actually know anything about the issue at hand. Scottish independence is an extremely tense subject even here. It has been a cause of families breaking apart, friendships, relationships, marriages ruined. It has been the cause of religious bigotry, racism, isolationism. It's horrible. It has caused so much conflict in the past few years. Sorry, that was just my dog in the corner there. Hey, want to join in the video? Nah. Okay, maybe another time. Anyway, so yeah, Scottish independence is a hot topic for a lot of people in Scotland. So we don't want Americans to give your opinion pretty much if you're not informed, and it goes the same way. That's why I'm not going to give my opinion on MagaCommunism. Like I said, maybe it's worth a try. I don't know. I'm not there. I'm not in the thick of it. I'm not on the ground over there. I am not an expert on American political material conditions. So yeah, but I do have major reservations for the MagaCommunism, especially, like I just said, national chauvinism. I have been very much disrespected and dismissed by lots of the MagaCom crowd simply for being British. And this national identity politics is a dangerous thing, and it leads people down a very dangerous path. I am not representative of the British colonial history. I am a Marxist-Leninist, quite a traditional Marxist-Leninist, and so yeah, I want to be completely disassociated with those kind of malpractices and atrocities and unspeakable things that Britain has done. Of course. And I understand that as an American patriot, you must be very proud of the fact that the Americans were one of the first people to fight against the British Empire and get their independence. And Marx and Engels wrote very intensively on that subject. They were very, very proud, and they looked very highly on the Americans for the American Revolution and fighting against the moribund imperialism of the British Empire. I think that's what Lenin said, actually. Moribund imperialism of the British Empire, and the Americans were the first really to fight against it and get independence and make the 13 original states. So yeah, I understand as an American patriotic, communist, whatever, you must be proud of that. So yeah, you're going to kind of maybe joke around and make fun of British people every so often. That's fine. We do it to you guys too. It's completely fine. British have our banter where we kind of make fun of the Americans and the American culture. You guys do it to us. That's fine. That's not what I'm debating about here. That's completely fine. It's just dismissing people's entire political ideology or dismissing in people's opinion just based on their national identity. Just not listening to a word I'm saying just because I'm British, or, it's not very helpful. So I do have my major criticisms, but generally speaking, like I said, if that definition I gave earlier on is correct, if that is what MagaCommunism really stands for, then maybe it is worth a try. If MagaCommunism is something that exists because a band of American communists have decided that the best way to achieve 21st century Marxism-Leninism, according to American political material conditions, is by uniting MAGA forces and communist forces and toppling the globalist agenda, toppling the capitalist imperialist monopoly, fighting against American unipolarism and hegemony on the world, supporting pretty much the governments where the US currently are at war with or hate. China, Iran, Iraq, Syria, Yemen, Russia, Cuba, the DPRK. These countries are states that the US geopolitically are completely opposed to. So if the MagaCom crowd can show their support towards China and still accept them as the future leader of the multipolar world, then they can accept that America very, very soon will no longer be number one, and they will be surpassed by the People's Republic of China, with their very strong allies of Russia and Iran, and many, many other states around the world, even micro-states like Fiji and Djibouti and Tanzania. They have started showing their support towards China too. The tables are turning. The landscape is shifting rapidly. These are very, very tumultuous times in international politics. And so, yeah, MagaCommunism, it's one avenue of Marxism-Leninism. I think it kind of happened from the split, from the whole drama behind Caleb Maupin and the collapse of the Centre for Political Innovation. The patriotic socialist crowd, they were quite fringe in themselves, and now they have splintered into even smaller groups as they fight for dominance in the American political landscape. That's just kind of what I've observed from over the pond. So please correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, essentially, I just want to say, Americans, stop asking me about my opinion on MAGA communists. Stop asking me my opinion on patriotic socialism. My opinion on patriotic socialism, actually, is a lot simpler than MAGA communism. It's a lot simpler. So I'm going to give you maybe 2 minutes explaining my opinion on patriotic socialism. I don't know why it exists. I don't know why patriotic socialism exists. And it's the same reason I don't think democratic socialism should exist. Because socialism is already democratic. Socialism is the purest form of democracy. Workers' power, 99% of people having power and a say in the organisation and running of the country. That seems to be the purest kind of democracy we've ever had on the face of the planet. So I'm not sure why democratic socialism has to exist. Socialism is already inherently democratic. So, as it follows, patriotic socialism. A good friend, actually, a good comrade, Seamus A. Connolly, wrote this book called To the Movement, A Return to the Past, A Vision for the Future. And in this book is an entire chapter, about 50 pages, of quotes from multiple people where patriotism was supported by these Marxist-Leninists. To Paul Robinson, to Kim Il-sung, to Jill Green, Gus Hall, Michael Parenti, Howard Zinn. There's lots and lots of people. So I recommend people get this book, actually. I'm going to link it in the description below, actually. Seamus Connolly, he's an Irish comrade, but he knows very much about American politics. And this is it's quite a lengthy book. It has about 350 pages. I've read about 75% of it. It's very, very good. I do encourage it. But yeah, even in that, there's a whole chapter, about 50 pages, of a multitude, a multipolarity of different former communists who say that they want people to reject national nihilism, and actually they should embrace proletarian patriotism, or proletarian patriotism, that's it. So it isn't nationalism, but it also isn't jingoism or super patriotism or any of this stuff. Just normal, traditional, working class patriotism. Love for your land, love for your people. This is an inherent part of the theoretical underpinnings and the philosophical underpinnings of socialism already. Anyone who has read an embryo worth size of Marxist theory understands that patriotism, to begin with, as a first stage of achieving socialism internationally, it is patriotism. So I'm not sure why patriotic socialism has to exist as its own entity. Marxism-Leninism already is patriotic, and I'm okay with that, and I'm pretty sure most people who identify as Marxist-Leninist are also okay with it. Because if they weren't okay with it, they probably wouldn't call themselves Marxist-Leninist. without accepting the fact, through reading theory, or listening to theory, or however you acquire theory, that patriotism is a massive part. So democratic socialism, patriotic socialism, I'm not sure why these things exist. Socialism in itself is already democratic and is already patriotic. Why can't we just call ourselves Marxist-Leninists? It's very simple. And that brings me to the third part of this video, which is how I identify. I identify very simply as a traditional Marxist-Leninist. That's it. That's it. None of this patriotic stuff, none of this pseudoscience woke stuff, none of this conservative stuff. I'm not really, none of that. Just traditional Marxism, Leninism. Soviet-style communism. Chinese-style communism. Traditional, the OG communists. Thomas Sankara of Burkina Faso. Enver Hoxha of Albania. Ho Chi Minh, Kim Il-sung. These people, many, many more. There's hundreds of people that I love and I've read the works of. I want to go back to those times. Not physically go back to those times, but I want a socialism that's based on that kind of stuff. Working class solidarity, working class politics, class reductionism, to an extent, with the appreciation and acknowledgement of certain intersectionalities. Sure, but mainly class politics, class war, class struggle. That's what it's all about. A dialectical view of history. None of this pseudoscience or woke stuff. We're not screaming about pronouns, but also not this conservative patriotic stuff where, it's America first and we're going to kick everyone else down and throw other countries under the bus and we're going to dismiss entire people's opinions based on their nationality. This is just blatant reactionary bullshit. Both sides, the woke left and the conservative right, they're both equally degenerate and decadent and delusional and depraved, and they both seed divisions within the working class. I just want traditional Marxism-Leninism. I will work with anyone. I will work with conservatives. I will work with patriotic socialists. I will work with MAGA communists. I will work with redneck communists. I will work with religious communists and atheist communists. I will work with national Bolsheviks. I will work with almost everyone who claims to be fighting for the dismantling of capitalism and the support for a more multipolar world where America doesn't run things and where democratically legitimate leaders of countries are not killed and ousted just for simply going against the geopolitical interests of the Western imperialists. If you want that, if you're an anti-imperialist, if you're a multipolarist, if you want more freedom, more national sovereign integrity, then I will happily work with you. This is not a channel that is an echo chamber. Many, many people watching this will disagree with me, and they can comment, they can reach out to me. That is fine. I'll even invite you onto the channel, and we can talk about it like adults. We can just have a discussion where we disagree. I've done it before. My comrade George, who's a fellow Scottish comrade, we've had a live stream before about Scottish independence, and part 2 is actually going to be coming up very, very, very soon. So I don't want to identify as anything fringe. I am just a normal, traditional Marxist-Leninist. Traditional being the key word. Going back to the Soviet Union and the China and the Warsaw Pact and the Cold War style communism. That's a communism that was good and worked. Most countries were under Communist Party rule in the 60s and 70s. That's when we were winning. And let's think why we were winning. I've already touched on it in a previous video as to why the left now is losing and the right-wing parties are winning. The right is more organised, and they claim and are seen to be actually caring about interests that the working class care about, and we're not. The leftists are screaming about this most fringe, random stuff, and we're coming across as freaks and weirdos on the internet. And this has to stop, because we will not achieve anything. Okay? We will not achieve anything. We need to get back to our working class roots, get into the streets, speak to workers, speak to the disenfranchised people, speak to those who are affected by poverty, especially in Britain with the cost of living crisis, the elderly, the children, the university students, radicalise them all. Get into every sector of social and cultural life. Get in there and speak and agitate and educate people. This traditional working class socialism, that's what we need. None of this woke liberal stuff, none of this degenerate right-wing anime stuff. None of this. Just stop. Stop trying to go down all these different routes. Alright? Just rally behind just traditional OG communism. There's nothing wrong with it. It worked before, and it can work again if enough of us stand up and proclaim that as the correct path. And I am willing to work with anyone on this issue. Anyone. If anybody wants to come on and talk about topics and issues, I am the person to go to. We can network, we can talk, we can communicate, we can build bridges with different communities. That's what I'm all about. That's what I want. To socialise and speak. So solidarity to all of you around the world. Keep fighting. Keep your head in the game. Don't give up. And keep fighting for the true natural values of Marxism-Leninism. Thank you.